Hey, folks, this is Jeff coming to you from his office, and we just wanted to come to you, talk to you a little bit about some of the exciting things that are happening. As you know, for the past few weeks, Carl has given the North Mission Church of Christ a challenge to go out and to seek 20 new disciples by the ending of 2022. So by January 1st, 2023, God willing, we'll have 20 new disciples amongst our midst. And so it's good to come together and to think about how these things can become reality. Hopefully, we are continuing to pray and to pray hard for this effort. Prayer is, again, the first line defense or a first line tactic for believers in God. Whatever we have in our minds, whatever we have in our hearts, may we take it to the Lord in prayer. Absolutely. But we can also talk about strategy. We can talk about methods with which these things can be brought to bear. And an interesting concept that we get from the Bible is how evangelism is something that can be powerfully done, but it's actually something that works better with people that we don't know. I've seen this in my life, and I've talked to other people who've experienced the same thing. Maybe you've experienced it in your life as well. I can remember back when I was in preaching school. The preaching school I went through, the Preston Road School of Preaching, they did an internship program with the local congregations in the Dallas area. And I was able to work with the Mesquite Church of Christ, which was the church that my family and I attended through my high school years, going into college. And so by the time I became a preaching student, my parents were affiliated with that church for about 6 years. I was affiliated with that church for about 5 years or so before I went off to Stephen F. Austin. But the thing about it is that before I went to Mesquite Church of Christ, we went to White Rock Church of Christ. And about my eighth grade into ninth grade year, some things happened where a lot of us who were at White Rock started going to Mesquite. And so here's the situation I was in. I was expected to be an intern at Mesquite Church of Christ, but there were lots of people there during my time as an intern that have known me all my life, ever since I was a baby. No joke, full honesty. Ever since I was a baby, moving upwards till I was 21 when I started being an intern. So they've known me all my life. And so by the time I got to the third year of my schooling, which was our last year, I started to do more teaching outside of just like youth and teen classes. I started working with adults more. So I'm a 24-year-old kid teaching adult classes, and so people would come to my classes and all this, and I was starting to preach a little bit more. And the thing about it was that I got to see an interesting dynamic. Those who didn't really know me through my life or through my high school years, they were very positive as far as feedback was going, and I was able to do more work with them. However, if people knew me through my high school years, or they were one of those people who knew me through my entire life, they would come up to me after I taught a class or after I preached, and they would say things. And again, it was from a good place. I get that. I know that. But they would say things like, "Oh, we're just so proud to see you up there. You're doing us so proud. Your parents must be thrilled." In other words, I had nothing to do with the work that I was trying to do for the Lord, but it had everything to do with, we're just so proud to see you up there. We're proud that we had a hand in. And it was like they almost, I don't think they meant to, but it was like a disavowing of everything that I was doing because they knew me for as long as they knew me. And evangelism is like that. Jesus faced that. It's no small thing when Jesus says a prophet is without honor in their own home. Jesus tried to go back to the town of Nazareth to do some work among the people there, and they thanked him by trying to chunk him off a cliff because they took offense at him because they knew him ever since his family moved to Nazareth. Jesus grew up amongst their midst, so to speak, and they took offense at this guy who they knew. Now, and again, I'm, paraphrasing here, he has the audacity to speak this way to us. We're not going to take it because we know who he is. We know who his siblings are. We know who his parents are, and, who does he think he is? That's kind of a negative way. What I experienced was more of a positive thing, but it was still that same mindset. They didn't get much because of their intimacy with me. Okay. Okay. What does this have to do with anything? This is why evangelism, one of the thrusts of evangelism is relationship. It's a very much a relationship type exercise. And on one set, and it's also how we get to meet completely new people. Evangelism works best with people we don't know because they don't have any hangups. They don't have the "I've known you all my life. Who do you think you are to tell me X?" A prophet is without honor in their own home. All that being said, you might be thinking to yourself, I've never considered myself an evangelist. I've never considered myself going up to a total stranger and just talking to them. Okay, I get that. I understand that. But here's something that I'm going to challenge you with, a tactic that might help. Allow us at North Mission to have the conversations with your friends that you've never been comfortable having. Allow us at North Mission to have the conversations with your friends that maybe you felt like you couldn't have for whatever reason. But be the go-between between your friends and North Mission. And again, we get an example of this. You go over to John 1 and you get to read one of the few instances that we actually read about Andrew and Philip. We read a lot about Peter and James and John. Obviously, we read a lot about Judas, but some of the other disciples we really don't read a lot about. But you get this interesting story about Andrew and Philip. And out of John 1, it says this, and this is John 1, verse 35. It says, "The next day again, John was standing with two of his disciples, and he looked at Jesus as he walked by and said, 'Behold the Lamb of God.' The two disciples heard him say this, and they followed Jesus. Jesus turned and saw them following and said to them, 'What are you seeking?' And they said to him, 'Rabbi,' which means teacher, 'where are you staying?' He said to them, 'Come and you will see.' So they came and saw where he was staying, and they stayed with him that day, for it was about the 10th hour. One of the two who heard John speak and followed Jesus was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first found his own brother Simon and said to him, 'We have found the Messiah,' which means Christ. He brought him to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, 'You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas, or Peter,' which means Peter. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, 'Follow me.' Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, 'We have found him of whom Moses and the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.' Nathanael said to him, 'Can anything good come out of Nazareth?' Philip said to him, 'Come and see.' Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said to him, 'Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit.' Nathanael said to him, 'How do you know me?' Jesus answered him, 'Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you.'" Okay. What did Andrew and Philip know about Jesus? They figured out by their hanging out with Jesus that he was the Messiah, but did they know it to the extent that they were able to go and say, "This guy Jesus is the Messiah"? That's not what they did. They brought others to Jesus. Andrew brought Peter to Christ. Philip's evangelistic method was simply come and see. In other words, we all have various ability, we all have various talents, but what we need to learn is how to make the talents of the body of Christ to interweave together to become something strong and powerful. You might not feel comfortable yet talking about your faith in an in-depth way with somebody else. Okay. Maybe there is someone in your life you can invite. Maybe there is someone in your life that you can bring with you and introduce to our elders. Introduce them to Carl, introduce them to me, introduce them to our deacons, introduce them to just a stronger, a strong follower of Christ that is more comfortable having these conversations. In other words, you be the Andrew, you be the Philip, you be the one who just says, "Look, I would love to tell you about this person, Jesus, who has changed my life so much." And they ask you, "Well, how has Jesus changed your life?" And you can just say, "Come and see." And you bring them and you allow us to work with them. You allow, introduce them, make the introduction and allow us to do the work. That's how beautiful all of this is. We might not, the hardest field to work is the field which is totally surrounded by people who know us intimately. Okay, but it's the ones we know intimately that we want to come to Christ the most because we know them. Okay, we'll try to bring them, or try to set it up. Try to, and you can even call us and say, "My friend is curious, but they don't want to come to the church, but they still want to talk to somebody." Okay, we'll set something up. We'll set something up at someone's house, at a coffee shop, at somewhere that we can sit and chat somewhere. We can go to the library, for crying out loud. It doesn't matter. But the point is don't let an inability to speak stop you. Can you be the middleman? Can you be the one who introduces? Can you be the one who makes all the introductions? That is also doing an awesome work. Grace and peace to you all. We'll see you next time.